that was such a great story, and it's even better because it's true. Hey, Johanna, you're in a good mood. Yeah, Gramps told me about God's choice for Israel's second king. Oh. Oh? Aren't you even curious about it? I'm sure it's a nice story and all, but... But what? Well, I just wish there were some really exciting stories in the Bible. Maybe even one with a superhero. Well, there is a superhero in this story. There is? Are you sure? Positive. Then tell me about it, please. All right. This is a historical account in the Old Testament. It's in 1 Samuel chapter 16 and 17. You remember God had rejected Saul as the king of Israel because he was disobedient and he broke God's laws. Yeah. So after Samuel confronted Saul about it, Samuel told him he had sinned, and Saul said, "Yes, I have sinned." And he asked Samuel to come with him to worship God. Samuel did, and they parted, and Samuel never saw Saul again, and he mourned for him. Then God said, "Samuel, how long will you mourn for Saul, since I have rejected him as king of Israel? Fill your horn and be on your way. I'm sending you to Jesse at Bethlehem. I have chosen one of his sons to be the king." Well, wouldn't Saul be a little upset about that? I mean, since he was still king? That's what Samuel answered. He said, "Lord, I can't do that. If Saul finds out, he'll kill me." God said for Samuel to take a young cow with him and hold a sacrifice at Bethlehem, and to invite Jesse and his family. Oh, that's a great plan. Did it work? Sure did. Samuel went to Bethlehem and consecrated the village elders, including Jesse, and sacrificed the cow. When Jesse's eldest son came in, Samuel thought he surely must be the one to be anointed, but God said, "Nope, not him. Man looks on the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart." Well, that's true. You sure can't tell much about a human by the way they look, or even about animals, or to some degree about puppets. Samuel looked at all 7 of Jesse's sons who were there, and God rejected each of them. Well, but God had said for him to anoint one of Jesse's sons as king. Yes. Samuel asked if Jesse had any more sons, and Jesse said yes, the youngest, David, who was tending the sheep. Samuel had them send for him, and when he came in, God said he was the one. He was handsome and well-formed, and Samuel anointed him as the next king of Israel. From that time on, God's Spirit was on David. Yeah, I've heard of him, but you said this was an exciting superhero story. Well, I'm getting there. You have to know what happened before to understand what happened later. Well, all right, I'm sorry. I just am so excited about the superhero. Please, go on. Well, God's Spirit had left Saul, and he was tormented, that's made miserable, by an evil spirit. So the servants suggested that they find a musician to play and soothe Saul's misery. Good idea. Music will surely help with that. Someone said that Jesse of Bethlehem had a son, David, who could play the harp and sing. David was said to be courageous and handsome and well-spoken, so they sent for him. He played for the king, and Saul felt better. David became one of Saul's armor-bearers. Whenever Saul needed him, he would play and sing for him. David went back and forth to tend his father's sheep. Oh, that's wonderful, but patience, Noah. I'm just getting to the exciting part. Shortly after that, Saul and his army, and the army of their enemies, the Philistines, were lined up on opposite ends of a field, ready to have a battle. The Philistines had a champion named Goliath, who was 9 feet tall. He wore a bronze armor which weighed 125 pounds, and his sword point weighed 15 pounds. Whoa! Most men couldn't even move in that much weight or throw a spear that heavy. Goliath would come out on the field and shout insults at Israel and even at God. He said, "Why should we have a battle? Send a man to fight me. If I win, Israel will serve us. If your champion wins, we will serve you." Wow, that was one confident giant. What did Saul do? He and his whole army were terrified. For 40 days this went on. 40 days? David was at home in Bethlehem at the time, and Jesse sent him to the battle site with a little food for the army and to check on his 3 oldest sons who were in Saul's army. When David heard Goliath's insult, he said, "Who is he that he should defy the armies of the living God?" David's brothers scolded him for speaking like that, but then word got to the king, and Saul sent for him. When he saw David, he said, "You're just a boy. You can't fight that giant." "Oh, that sounds like what I would have said." David explained that while protecting his sheep, he had killed both lion and bear, and he could kill this Philistine. Saul gave in, and he put his armor on David, but David said he couldn't fight in it because he wasn't used to it, so he took it off, and armed with only his staff and his slingshot, he entered the field, and he picked up 5 smooth stones from the brook as he went. Wow, that is so brave! Did Goliath laugh at him? No. He became angry and he said, "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" He said he would leave David's bones for the birds and the beasts to eat. Yikes! Ooh! A boy and attacking a giant with a slingshot. Oh yeah, I asked Gramps about this, and David wasn't carrying one of those little wooden fork things with stretchy ropes attached to the top and a pocket to put the rock in and pull back and fire the rock. His sling was long leather straps with a pocket in the center, and you swung it around and around a few times and then let one end of it go, and it would hurl the rock a long way. Shepherds all over the world have used them for centuries to kill predators who were after their sheep. Oh, I see. I'll bet it took a lot of practice to hit anything with that. Was David afraid? He didn't seem to be. He told Goliath, "You come at me with swords and spears and javelins, and I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will hand you over to me, and I will strike you down and cut off your head." Goliath came toward him, and David ran right for Goliath, swinging his sling, and he swung it around and around and let it go, and the rock hit Goliath right in the center of his forehead. He fell face down, and David ran up, unsheathed Goliath's own sword, and cut off the giant's head. Wow! When the Philistine army saw what an Israelite boy could do to a giant, they ran, Israel chasing them, clear out of the country. Wow, what a good story! Goliath thought he was the superhero, but it was really David. Goliath was depending on his own strength to win against David. That's why he lost. Do you think David could have won without God strengthening him? Nope. David was a superhero, but because of God's power only. David gave all the credit to God, and God later said that David was a man after his own heart. Wow, that's the best thing anybody could say about anybody. Wow, that's what I want to be, a puppet after God's own heart. And that is how to be a superhero. Only a boy named David, only a little sling. Only a boy named David, but he could play and sing. Only a boy named David, only a rippling brook. Only a boy named David, but 5 little stones he took. And 1 little stone went in the sling, and the sling went round and round. And 1 little stone went in the sling, and the sling went round and round. And round and round and round and round and round and round and round. And 1 little stone went up in the air, and the giant came tumbling down.